Hello everyone, welcome to Bangers, Bops, and Banter. It's episode 19. Fuck.
You're supposed to get better at the intros, Joe.
We know that progressively throughout the series, I just get worse at doing the intros.
You certainly seem to.
Yeah.
Maybe this is why our viewer retention is so bad.
I really don't think that's it.
While we're talking about this,
what else it could be, obviously.
Can we also
in every way.
make a point to introduce the guest so I don't just have to interject randomly halfway through a sentence?
Hey, we're getting to that.
Are you? It really doesn't feel like it.
Eventually.
We'll get to that. I just want to look. We had one episode where we opened up with me saying train fucking sucks, and that episode didn't have good viewer retention, so like...
No, but that was probably our best intro.
Yeah.
And I've heard nothing works better to keep viewers than kind of guilting the ones that are still here for not sticking around.
Yeah.
Those of you who are still here... No, go ahead.
Anyway, we have... Wow. I'm Joe. I'm here with Brendan.
I'm Brendan.
Nice. And we have some guests.
Hey, how you doing? It's me. My name is Wesley. I'm back.
Damn.
Hi. Damn indeed. Hi, my name is Jade, and I'm here again. It's nice to be back. It's nice to be here with horror shit once again. I feel like I've been tested, and it feels really nice.
Wow.
Thank you all for coming.
Oh, of course.
Alright, we got... I don't know, there's some stuff happening this episode, I'm sure. There's news, we got music and movie news coming up, then afterwards we're going to be talking about Care For Me by Saba, and lastly we're going to be discussing Perfect Blue, directed by Satoshi Kon. News time. You ready for news? You ready?
Yeah.
There's like barely anything this week. Firstly, in music news, there was a Whitney Houston hologram that debuted without permission of Whitney Houston's estate. I just think it's really funny.
What an odd thing to happen.
Yeah.
This isn't the first time this has happened, right? Someone did it with like Prince a couple years ago or something.
I remember the Tupac.
Oh, yeah, that too.
But I think that might have had permission. No one screamed about it. It was just weird, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was interesting. Next. I'm repeating myself a fuck ton. Young Boy Never Broke Again has been arrested on felony gun and drug charges.
Oh.
Uh-oh. He's detained in Baton Rouge. He was arrested while shooting a music video, actually. So.
Yeah.
Really?
A hype music video.
Yeah.
Did he have like the gun and drugs on him on set?
Looks like it was probably part of the music video.
Yeah.
He was charged with possession of a Schedule 1 drug and intent to distribute Schedule 2 and 4 drugs, and also with illegal possession of a firearm. There were a total. Oh my god! Police officials confiscated drugs, a total of 14 guns, and $79,000 in cash from the scene.
Whoa.
Man, music videos are expensive.
I love how he could have just put sugar in a baggie and been like, this is cocaine, but he was like, no. I know what I'm doing.
It's all about being real, okay?
Yeah, no.
What? No,
He's the realest motherfucker in the rap scene.
Yes, I want to see
and
his
he
music
paid
video.
the price.
Not the realest, not the only one paying the price, but like... Yeah. My favorite is when rappers get like intent to distribute charges, because it's like, homie, you're like making bank while you still selling. Unless they're not.
Oof. Next in news, Lil Yachty was arrested for driving more than 150 miles per hour in his
Whoa.
Ferrari.
Damn.
Zoom.
What's the fastest? I think the fastest I've ever gone is like 120.
Really?
Yeah.
in a
It's like-
car.
60
Yep.
miles above what I thought you'd say.
You're like what? That's like 4/5 of a Lil Yachty right there? That's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm 4/5 of Lil Yachty. I could take 4/5 of Lil Yachty in a fight. You heard it here. Bop Stop. Come at me.
Uh-oh.
But you're like,
He can't do anything, he's in jail.
I don't know what to do. Sorry, but like
Over the course of 1 hour, I could take 4/5 of Lil Yachty in a fight.
Lil Yachty's going 160 on the highway.
In recent news, a young man has been run over by Lil Yachty.
Uh-oh, it was me. It's gonna be me.
Uh-oh.
Live fast, die young. Bad girls do well.
That's the spirit.
Alright. Lastly, in music news, something that I had to include because I think it's like the most unbelievable but simultaneously believable thing ever. Vin Diesel has
I'm already
released
excited.
music. He released a debut
No.
single called "Feel Like I Do."
It's the second best song of the year, behind only "I'm Back" by Belle Delphine, obviously.
I don't know. Vin
Oh.
Diesel,
I'm sorry, are you not charting WAP? Like the fuck?
My God.
Have you?
Hold up. And listening to Vin Diesel's new hit single 12 times in a row wasn't the album of the week? The fuck?
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. This came out.
Yeah, no, you
before-
should be.
This came out before we picked the album, so we'll do it next week. You know.
Awesome. Oh my God. Look at Vin Diesel's Spotify profile.
Oh man.
Oh, I got to. Is the movie of the
God.
week going to be the entirety of Fast and Furious? Like all the movies?
Yes.
Fast and Furious is just anime. Has anyone else talked about that? I think the Cosmonaut Picture Show said that, but like
Those are
it
really
needs to be
accurate.
preached.
Did they take an Android selfie and was like, yep, close it up?
Literally, he looks like this is very indie folk singer.
I can't believe they put his tiny ear on display like that. It's dirty.
Wow, wait a minute. Does this only have like 600,000 plays? That's a lot less than I expected.
Really, that's a lot more than I expected. That's
I
like
mean, like,
depressing to me.
It's that's a super like,
But it's
Like,
Vin
yeah, it's a
Diesel. He
lot.
has no previous musical background.
but it's Vin
And this
Diesel.
dropped 4
Like
days
people
ago.
know.
yeah,
who
it
Vin
dropped 4
Diesel
days ago. He has 300,000 monthly listeners. Like,
Ladies and gentlemen, I ask you to go down to Fans Also Like and just see what the people who listen to this fucking
Yo,
song
is
also
that
listen
Sammy
to.
Adams?
Oh
Yes,
my
it is.
God. Is that
I like that
Oh.
Cash is on this. Like, yeah.
We need
I don't know
to
what
do like a. Oh my God.
we need to do
some good
the
things.
Sammy Adams.
In
We,
the
we need to do a think
special.
piece on Sammy Adams someday.
Sammy Adams, best rapper or bestest rapper?
Ooh, tough. What the fuck is Arizona all caps with spaces in between? Let me rephrase. What's
Arizona?
Arizona?
It's Arizona. They're a
I think
brand.
it's Arizona. I don't know. I didn't think
No, I think you're right.
It's
I think
pretty
they're
good iced
indie.
tea.
They look like indie.
I'm really afraid to listen to the rest of the song, not gonna lie. I got about 4 seconds in and then decided I was
Oh, dance pop.
unhappy.
The Vin Diesel song. It's just like really boring standard EDM with like nothing behind it.
Oh, it's EDM.
That makes a
Yeah.
lot of
Yeah.
sense. That probably is how Vin Diesel feels.
It's kind of hilarious. Vin Diesel is
Yeah.
like, oh, he can't
He's
sing.
I feel like Vin Diesel's head can only contain one thought at a time.
Yeah, that's
I
why
very truly
it
believe
only had
that.
one line. They were just
Oh.
like, wow, let's work with what
Like,
we
I don't
got.
know if he can make physical actions and speak at the same time. And when you like watch him like do stuff, it's kind of apparent.
He sacrificed like his ability to have coherent thought for the ability to have the roundest shoulders in frame. I don't think he regrets it, but like he hasn't thought about it too hard as far as I can tell.
Clearly.
Oh man. All right. Movie news. Then are we done with Vin Diesel?
We're
Movies.
never done with Vin Diesel, but we should move on.
If the next article is about the Fast and Furious, I'm gonna cry.
I want a playlist now that's
fuck.
just that song and See You Again on repeat.
I'm so upset.
Movie news, please.
All right.
Thank
Fucking Black Widow, that Marvel movie that was supposed to come out and then didn't because the virus. That's been delayed to 2021. Big surprise, and also a bunch of other Marvel movies have been delayed or rescheduled, and also Steven Spielberg's I can't fucking talk. Steven Spielberg's next movie, which is I think an adaptation of West Side Story, unless it's a different West Side Story, has also been delayed a year. So, yay!
Cool.
It's like pretty much all the movie news.
Yeah.
There's one other story. The other story is you remember Borat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's getting a sequel,
Why?
and it's gonna be on Amazon in October.
Okay.
Is it gonna be spooky
Yeah.
because it's October?
I'm actually kind of excited. Borat, like in this election season. Oh my god, perfect.
Really thought you were gonna be like, in this economy, can we afford a Borat?
God, that's like one of the few good things to come out of what is essentially the apocalypse these days, is that we can bring back in this economy jokes.
In this economy, we can't afford a Black Widow, but we got the money for a Borat. And I think that's pretty neat.
Will you settle for a Borat?
Oh yes, honey, absolutely.
Oh my god, the title of this movie. So
Borat 2.
the first Borat is called Borat: Cultural Learnings of America for Make Benefit Glorious Nation of Kazakhstan. And this one is called Borat: Gift of Pornographic Monkey to Vice Premier Michael Pence to Make Benefit Recently Diminished Nation of Kazakhstan.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Oh man.
Exciting.
Yes.
Tag yourself on pornographic monkey.
I'm excited.
I know I'm not Mike Pence.
Are you sure you're not Premier Mike Pence?
Congratulations.
I might be diminishing state of Kazakhstan.
I think it should really be everybody's goal not to be Mike Pence, including Mike Pence.
I agree.
Oh, yeah.
Mike Pence,
Yeah.
I know you're our only avid listener here at the Bop Stop. You're one of our 10 subscribers, but you gotta go.
My favorite thing about Mike Pence is if I saw him in a grocery store, I'd probably think he was my friend's dad.
Oof.
It's on site with him, and yet I couldn't actually say that because, I would just be beating up random men in my life.
Yeah, it would be on site if he was recognizable, you know?
Yeah, it can't be on site.
If Mike Pence had one distinguishable physical feature, I would feel more comfortable beating the shit out of him on site.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, no, I kind of got nothing. It's just you're the father down the street, except you need to be scared of him for so many reasons.
I'm scared of so many old white people down the street, you don't even know.
Yeah. You know what? Actually, never mind. Change this policy. It's on site with most of the elderly, I guess. Let's see where that gets us.
Fuck old people, am I right?
Not literally. Don't do that.
Wait a minute.
I mean, well, actually, if you want to, sure, go ahead. But
I'm gonna stop you right there, pal.
Hey, Brendan, I think I...
Oh no, my internet, I'm sorry. They're all having a good time, and I'm frozen. And you all get to hear me.
I'm also.
I'm also first.
There we
all
go.
freeze.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
we're
okay,
back, we're
so it was
back. Some
Discord.
technical
That's
difficulties.
My Wi-Fi.
I don't think
Damn.
that was us. I think that was Discord.
Damn.
Oh, sweet Discord.
Yeah, but you were
Discord was
saying?
Oh, I think I understand why viewer retention is such a problem at the moment. Keep dissing our target audience, the elderly.
Of course.
Yes.
How do we feel the young kids these days?
I do send this show to my grandparents. I hope y'all know that.
Oh, good. Good.
All right.
Hi, Mr. and Mrs. Homer.
All right, sure.
My grandparents. How dare you?
Do they listen to Saba? Like,
Yes, actually.
good.
My dad, listen, one of the primary bonding topics that me and my dad has is we both really fuck with logic, and I think that's so funny.
See, I thought you were gonna say Scott, and I was gonna make fun of you.
No, that's me and Joey.
Now it just hurts.
Yeah, no, I was sitting in the car one day and my dad was like, "Hey Wesley, check out this sick album." And he just threw on Everybody, and I was like, "What is happening?"
Oh, no.
But I will always love Everybody for that reason.
That's the most embarrassing thing you can do is hey, check out this sick
It
album.
was such a dad move, though. That was the best part.
It sounds like my purgatory. I don't know.
No, me and my dad will just do shit, working on electronics and shit, and just be bumping Logic in the kitchen. That's what we get up to. It's a good time. It's one of those things. Sometimes you just gotta do things that are kind of embarrassing with your parents. It's it's life, man.
I now have this vivid image in my mind of a 12-year-old and his father going to soccer practice to Sicko Mode by Travis Scott.
Wait, are we
jamming out?
Did you guys discuss the Travis Scott burger during the news segment last week?
Did
we mentioned it? I don't think we've actually discussed it.
Okay, no, because right now that's the new news segment. We're discussing the Travis Scott meal right now here live on the Bop Stop.
What's there to
Who's had it? Who's had the Travis Scott meal?
Do you just want to brag that you ate the Travis Scott meal? Because
no.
Cool, you went to McDonald's.
No, I really don't. I want to talk about it.
Okay.
I don't even know what the meal consists of. I just kind of.
All right, let me hit you with it. It's a normal ass burger with some bacon on it.
Okay.
That's it. That's fucking it.
Wait, is that the entire meal? I assume it comes with fries and a drink.
It's a burger, it's a fry, and a regular drink.
No, you get a Sprite. I'm pretty sure.
That's it. It's fucking $9. It's expensive as shit.
$9?
It's $9. It's so expensive. That being said, Travis Scott does come out and give you a little kiss on the cheek when you get your food, but I don't know if that's worth $9.
That's for me that's worth $9.
I wouldn't pay $9 for a Travis Scott concert. The fuck?
Whoa. It's not even, the meme where it's oh, haha, sicko sauce. No, it's not. It's barbecue sauce. I'm pissed. There's nothing special about it. It's literally just called a Travis Scott meal. I'm fucking livid. Maybe it's the burger he gets. I don't give a shit what Travis Scott eats. I want little Travis Scott shaped pickles. Where's my sicko sauce? Where's my Krabby Patty?
Pickle Travis.
Kind of sick. A little Travis Scott figurine. If it came with one of those, that'd be sick.
Yeah. Oh my god. When you ask for a little Happy Meal toy, it's just a little figurine of Travis Scott.
Yeah.
Oh
Can you
my
imagine
god.
being do you want the girl toy, the boy toy, or the Travis Scott toy? Our gender neutral option
It
of the
would
day.
never be a question again. I'm still pissed that McDonald's genders its toys, but that's the conversation for not this podcast, I'm sure.
Yeah. No. Okay. Well, I did.
Up to you. I'm not the host.
I don't know if we want to get into this. I feel like it made sense years ago.
Yes, but it's not years ago. Okay, moving on.
Yeah, but I don't think anybody cares now.
What do you mean? No, but clearly you're wrong. I'm living proof.
Care, I suppose.
I give a shit. I know at least one other person who gives a shit.
They're toys, and if you're a girl, you can ask for the boy toy or whatever.
We all want a boy toy.
We're not getting into this on this podcast. This will just devolve.
Joe, have you noticed how woke the people on this podcast are? It's so crazy.
Have you noticed that the Travis Scott meal does not include sicko sauce and I'm fucking livid?
I don't think you should be selling something called sicko sauce in this economy. I don't know what it is.
Sicko sauce in this economy? We can't even afford a Travis Scott in this economy, let alone a whole ass meal.
I can't afford a $9
I pay $9 for a burger made out of Travis Scott's flesh.
I mean, okay, yeah, I'd pay more than $9 for that. Like,
Or maybe 10.
All right,
Are we
I think with that
cannibals
we're gonna
now?
move
Like,
on.
what?
wasn't this the movie segment?
I'd
No,
like
we're
to take
talking
this
about
moment
Saba
to thank
now.
Brendan and Joe again for having us on again.
I'd like to take this moment to remind Brendan and Joe that I'm not a package with him. You can invite me and not invite him.
We might at one point, considering he's the one who brought up cannibalism, which
I swear to
I
God.
don't think we should get into.
This is like our first episode all over again.
Hey, viewer
entire-
retention, you'll get it back. You'll get them back.
If you ever want to just be sad for like 2 hours, watch the first episode of the podcast because it is
Was I on
fantasy,
that
honestly.
one? I was not
Yes.
on that one.
No,
You
you
were.
were.
You were
You
on
were.
it,
We were like, maybe we'll
and
make
we
you a
had
host.
no
And
idea
then
what
we're
we were
like,
doing because it was the first episode. It was bad. We're gonna
Wow, I
Joe and I are
should
gonna have like a
watch that.
retrospective episode next week.
the entire
so
podcast had no, like,
we had no
there was no
direction.
structure or
Right.
direction, and having Wesley on did not help. Because you
Exactly.
kept bringing up random shit, and I was like,
Oh, yeah. We were just starting. We're like, okay, we have 2 hours. Let's talk. Oh, it was bad.
Good
anyway,
times.
I'm glad we made this podcast structured.
Yeah, no, definitely a good call.
Saba,
All right.
care for me, Joe. You want
Yeah.
to introduce?
Yeah. So we're moving on to the album now.
Yeah.
So Saba, "Care for Me" by Saba is his 2018 album. This is his second studio album, and it mostly deals with basically Saba, most of the album is Saba dealing with the aftermath of his best friend dying. So, yeah, what did everyone think? Oh, okay, no one's gonna. No one's
Oh,
gonna
okay.
talk.
Well,
I literally just
I
asked.
didn't,
What
I didn't want to do the thing I do. That sounded bad. Anyways, fuck. All right, I've knocked shit over in my room. Someone else talk.
You have the floor now, Wesley. You're
Okay, well,
It's not
good thing
like
I
on you.
brought notes, asshole.
you
All
are,
right,
are those act? I don't think those are notes.
you're right. They're all of the lyrics because I decided to print things out and read them
Why
this
did
time.
you-
'Cause I'm really bad at listening.
You can look at them on Genius. What?
I like paper.
It's such a waste of paper, though.
No,
Look, I printed out. Okay, it's
There is a difference
double-sided.
between reading something online and reading it in paper. There is a difference.
There-
You're reading
Notable
lyrics. Like I
Yes.
understand this for a book, but like what? You're just reading
How-
lyrics.
It's his process. Let him do it his way.
Let me work. This is my process.
I don't want
I
you
am
to
the
kill more
artist.
trees, Wesley.
I'm gonna start to kill more Joes if you're not careful.
That's just like an upside. I don't.
I like how
Gonna
you said,
skin
wait,
you
you
and
said
print out
more.
all the lyrics to Saba's "Care for Me" on your skin, motherfucker.
You said more. That implies there's been a Joe murder in the past. And I hope it was Joe Rogan.
You think this is the first Joe on the podcast?
There have been multiple of me. I have many clones.
Oh,
You do.
haha, average Joe. That wasn't
Why?
funny.
This is a slur. Come on.
No. Wesley, since you have so many dead fucking trees and so much blood on your hands, can you please talk about the lyrics to Saba's "Care for Me"?
They're pretty good.
Ow.
Okay, so anyways, this isn't a style of rap that I listen to very frequently. It's because I'm well, as I mentioned before, I listen to Logic, so I don't have that good taste in rap. But I really enjoyed a lot of the jazzy influences here and a lot of the kind of like more relaxed style. Yeah, I kind of, as far as themes and lyricism, I think it's a lot of fun. It's this very not fun per se. Fun was the wrong word. I use the word fun very liberally. I assure you. I really enjoyed this kind of like very storytelling focused style, and it made me really happy. And someone else, please talk. I'm still trying to get over the knocked over shit in my room.
Wesley, you're very bad at describing this album, because happy is not the feeling I get when I listen to this album.
Okay, understandable, but also I've been in meetings since 9 in the morning with a 1 hour break total.
Okay. Understandable, but like, I don't know, I think this album is I love it, but I think it's very depressing. Like, you have like you have a song like Life, which is just like, it has this intense beat and this really fantastic delivery from Saba, and it's just like about how shitty like life is for him, or was for a while. Man, I especially like, I love his flow on that track, especially when he like picks up on the like I'm No Rihanna part, when he just like goes into it. I love his flow at that point. I especially love like the post chorus of that track. I think it's great. I also love the follow up, Calligraphy, which is maybe my favorite song. Just the piano riff throughout it, I think complements the feel really well, and I especially love his verses about him, like, I guess, like, finally facing his trauma, essentially, and not running away from it anymore. I think, man, I think there's a lot of like great tracks on this album that I think Saba is able to deal with the issues he presents in a very mature and very interesting way through these tracks. Yeah.
So I mostly agree with you. I think the lyrics are probably the strongest part of this album. Personally, I have a couple issues with it, though. A couple things that like really kind of bring it down for me. The first thing is that I feel like Saba he's very like stuck in the Chicago style of rap, which it's not like a bad thing. He does it well enough. It's just not the beats that he's rapping on aren't like anything new, and his delivery isn't really. It's not much different.
My man watched the Fantano review.
I actually have not watched the Banter review. I'm gonna be honest. This is it's just what I think. It's just like when I hear this, I'm like, oh yeah, I've heard Chicago rap before. This is good. I mean, he's not bad. Definitely, I definitely think his pen game, his writing is very, very good. I do wish he brought sort of another aspect of something that was unique to him to the table, though.
Yeah, okay. I went in completely like not knowing anything about Saba, and also not knowing that this was detailing a real chapter in his life about like the death of his best friend. So that paints everything in a very different light really fast for me. But I definitely agree that like lyrically, I found it like really fascinating. I found it fascinating how narrative he decided to be. I think that's something I don't always see. Like, I felt like there were moments he sacrificed like some of other musical elements so that he could tell a story. And I think for the most part that worked okay. The one that really sticks with me is Prom/King. Both of those were just like very like narratively like influenced stories with like I don't know, they feel more like stories than they do songs in a lot of ways to me. But then but like narratively it is like fascinating, and he does have some really good lines in there, so that is a strong suit. But unfortunately, I agree that kind of like the sound was just at least familiar to me. Like halfway through this, I was like, I should listen to Code of the Friends. I was like, oh, I know this guy like a little bit, but it's really fascinating what he was able to do with some of the lyrics he chose. My favorite that I wrote down was just how he starts Life. Like, I got angels running away, I got demons hunting me, I know Pac was 25, I know Jesus 33. That was like, that was probably my favorite bar that he threw out on this one. and I can't even say why. It was just like a very brutal way to start a very like anxiety-inducing song.
Yeah. Let's not have silence, guys.
Wesley, you wanna? Are you
okay?
done fiddling with your thing that got knocked over?
Yes.
Wow.
Do you have anything you would like to add to your previous comments? Now that things are no longer knocked over?
Here. I will do my best. A couple things I took note of. Yeah, I think Jade, you brought up a really strong point in there being a few places where there are sacrifices made to the song, like musically, in order to kind of deliver a story. But one area where I got confused a little bit was in the final track. It just felt a little.
Oh,
I don't know.
do you know what happens in the final track? Do you know it's a continuation of the previous track, Prom King?
I did not make that connection. That's
Okay,
interesting.
so did you? Okay, I don't know. So the end of Prom King, basically, Saba gets a call from Walter's mom, or his best friend's mom, that she doesn't know where he is, and then they go to find him. But this is when Walter dies. So the next track is then switches to Walter's perspective after he is dead.
I've been muted for like 4 seconds. Oh, yeah, I guess I should say the thing now. That's super interesting. I actually didn't initially make that connection. I think partially because I'm looking at it like very separately, and also I believe went to go grab some low main before listening to the last track, and then came back and was very confused. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense and kind of like adds to the storytelling element of the album. Total side note. Sorry, Jade, you were about to speak. Did you have more to add to that section?
Yeah, just like, so I feel I was really on the fence about the transition from Prom King to Heaven All Around Me. The first time I listened to it, I was just like, musically, that was a weird ass jump. But then I was like, well, that probably means something. So then I listened to it again, and and in getting that sense, I was still not completely bought on it. I just felt like Heaven All Around Me had to be a stronger track to make that musical risk in the album. And I feel like for this being narratively being like the climax and resolution and like the tragedy and the entire heart of his piece, there is so little for me in Heaven All Around Me. And one of the weirdest things for me is that lyrically, like, so little happens in Heaven All Around Me. In a story where in an album that feels like a story to me, that does such a good job of like expressing things, like using the words of the music. I just felt like that was no longer the case. And I wondered if it was a push towards trying to use the music to express like this moment instead. And now I don't know. It was just like I kind of didn't buy into the end. And I didn't know what to do with it kind of by the second time listening to the album still. It just felt lacking in a way. I didn't really understand if I was just missing a piece of the puzzle or if it was just like it felt underwhelming, but in a way that almost still kind of felt right for the subject matter. Just like it sucks and it's abrupt, like that at least fit in itself.
Yeah, I kind of want to jump off what you were saying there. For me, where you're saying like it didn't really quite make sense to you. for me, I was listening through this album and I listened through it a couple times and I kept on waiting for like something to click in it for me that would make it, you know, this great project, I guess, which is what it's certainly what it wants to be. And I think for some people, I can certainly understand why it is, but for me, it didn't happen. I also Heaven All Around Me, I think is it's a bit of an odd closer. It's a bit abrupt and also a bit flat, I guess. And yeah, as I was listening through, I listened to multiple times. I was like, maybe this time it will all just like click and make sense. But I don't know. I never really got that with this album.
All right, I disagree a lot with the Heaven All Around Me. I actually really like it as a closer. I think it wraps up the album thematically incredibly well. I especially love the emphasis on the title, There's Heaven All Around Me, as it kind of, I guess it kind of helps sum up like a lot of what Saba goes through in his environment, and like the themes of death that are pretty constant throughout the album. I don't know. I think it does a really great job of sending the album out. I think it's also something that, like, as you listen to it a lot, you like become a lot more acquainted with it, I guess. I think it starts to click a lot more once you like put everything together. So
Well, it's a good thing we all know how to handle dissenting opinions here.
Yes, it is.
what the fuck is wrong with you?
No, I do appreciate how well spoken that was this time around, Joe. Thank you.
I should just do that whenever someone fucking disagrees with me.
Just send them that video, actually.
Yes.
Has anyone ever told you you'd make an incredible politician?
No.
But anyways, Jade, I want to pick your brain for a moment because I know you come from a literary background, and perhaps I am incorrect, but I feel that I noticed this increasing use of repetition throughout the album, which, like, hey, music, of course, but like in an album that's so spoken word focused and that made so many like choices that sacrifice music and repetition, which is traditionally like something human brains really like. Hey, rhythm, baby. I just thought that was really interesting. I feel like it kind of came to a head in the Heaven one, Heaven All Around Me. And you mentioned something that kind of sparked that curiosity, and that was that you were wondering if Heaven All Around Me was trying to push its emotions using the music more than the lyrics for the final track. So that's just something that's been kicking around my brain.
Yeah, I mean, okay, like in the final track, there definitely is a lot of repetition. I'm trying to think. I think I don't know if it really works in a progression throughout the album. Like Prom King,
Right.
It's just like hits the ground running about like in like story mode. Truly, and like I don't know if anything is repeated to that part. Actually,
Right.
I'll have the lyrics from me though. But I mean, like repetition does work for emphasis very well. So that does like in the final track, that is just a big like note of emphasis, and it's very clearly meant to be the note of emphasis. Like it's what the track's called. It's repeated consistently. It's like where the track ends. But I didn't. I think knowing what I do now about this being a chapter in his like life, I find it a little hard to approach from like certain literary like perspectives, just because like like the question I'm suddenly asking myself, and maybe it's not fair to take this into account with music, but I think it's like worth bringing up anyway, is how hard this might have been for him to make, in a very genuine sense, and what sacrifices that the artist he might have wanted to make in order to make this the way he wanted to. Like specifically, I wonder if Heaven All Around Me was a hard track to make. Maybe all of it, but like maybe this specifically. And yet he did make it, so maybe that isn't something being taken into account. Maybe this was like the release valve for dealing with the trauma. But I bring that up to say that it's a little like one of the things. If this was like I was purely looking at this as a narrative, I would have liked to see was a bit more motif, and I guess musical motif, even though I'm not one to like talk on that one so much, but mainly just like the use of like a consistent like symbol throughout this, which I felt like I never really found. Like it's not that like heaven isn't mentioned earlier in the piece, like even the line I threw out as like God and Jesus and reference to Christianity is pretty consistent throughout the novel. Not novel, wow. Album. And yet there didn't feel like enough credence for like this specific line having merit. But in this being his life and in this being like the moment that it is, I don't necessarily think it's like ill-fitting at all. I am still curious why this is like the sentiment he wants to end on so badly, and that this is something that is so heavily repeated. Of course, there's the idea of just like wanting someone to find peace in a better place, especially in how it doesn't end with him completing the line; it just ends with him saying "There's heaven," like as a statement. But I don't know about. I would have, if this was a different piece, and I guess in this piece too, I would have liked to see this idea of heaven being something that surrounds you being brought up more throughout the novel, or not novel, wow, album as a whole. And I didn't feel like it was.
Wesley, can I just ask, you mentioned how repetition builds throughout the album, but I don't know where you get that from, because there's plenty of repetitive tracks at the very beginning. Or tracks with like repetitive hooks. So
I think he was talking about repetitive themes. How
did you say, oh, you mean themes? Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you just meant like,
yeah, no, sorry, I should have clarified that. Yeah, no, I didn't go into massive detail on that. My B.
I do want to pose the question of what is Logout doing on this album?
well, you got Chance the Rapper here.
Yeah, I'm almost like, did Chance just show up as like, well, fuck, we gotta do something. I don't.
Oh, yeah. Chance's like verse is like my least favorite part of the album. I think Chance is just like super boring on this track. It's interesting because like there are tracks that I like Chance on, because typically when I like Chance, he's like very upbeat and playful. So putting him on this album feels weird, because it's so not that. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not entirely sure if Logout, like, I guess, fits that super well within, like, the themes, but I don't think it's necessarily a bad inclusion. I mean, I really love the chorus on the track. So.
And he's got Chance the Rapper, and you need to sell the album, so.
Yo, he has a wife.
And he loves his wife.
Don't say the thing.
He loves his wife, though.
He loves his
He
wife.
do. He loves his wife.
I'm so glad.
We're all very happy for him.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Really glad that he loves his wife. I am. No.
Wait, what's the thing we're not saying? Can we say it so that we don't?
We're just really all happy for Chance.
We're all very happy for Chance.
Yes.
Man, I really wish that
Don't.
Chance would get a divorce and then he can make good music again.
Damn it! We were doing so well. How many episodes without a joke about Chance getting a divorce were we into?
I don't know.
Someone
the
reset
first
the
one.
counter.
Are you accused of Chan's wife of like Yoko Ono? Oh no.
Yoko Ono.
Yoko Ono.
Yoko, oh whoa.
Okay, well it's been cool.
What's this you're saying?
Alright.
So I liked Fighter.
Fighter's a pretty solid track.
Can we do this now? Can we just shout out tracks we like? I like Busy Sirens.
Yeah, I do actually.
I like
Busy
Busy
Sirens.
Yeah.
I do
Yeah.
actually really love
That was
Busy Sirens.
fun.
It's
That's
a,
right.
I think it's a great tone setter for the album.
Yeah, I agree.
Jared doesn't like it when I call albums fun, even when they're sad. It can be both.
I don't.
Yo, A Crow
No,
Looked at Me.
There's
So
beauty in
fun.
Crow Looked at Me is so fun.
Do you know how fun Humans is, Joe?
Yeah, Joe, Humans is so much fun.
You know, somebody. Hey, Joe. I don't know if you know this, but somebody had to make electro pop album about the 2016 election, and only Gorillaz could.
I can't wait for us to review Humans, or for Brendan to review Humans.
It's coming.
If you guys have an episode of the Bop Stop with Humans, that'll be the first time I listen to Gorillaz. I want you to know that.
Well, no. Well,
You're
we're doing
it first.
Well, we have to. Brendan has to review it for Album Swap.
Yeah.
So
Oh, does he? Oh.
yeah, he
Yeah.
lost.
I lost this season of Album Swap.
I tried really hard to not have to review Humans.
Yeah.
But more important, I don't mind reviewing Humans. But also the punishment was that whoever
Have to buy it on
loses had to
vinyl.
buy vinyl. So I really did not want that.
Understandable.
Yeah.
I'm so heartbroken I can't be there. Yo. Whatever.
One day.
One of
Maybe
these
we'll do a
days.
Humans Redux
Who knows?
review as part of the podcast.
Yes.
Maybe
Maybe.
Oh my god.
every time I review
Humans
Humans,
After Dark.
my score will drop a point.
We just it's like
I
a
love
yearly
you.
thing where we review humans.
Can we do an annual review of Humans on Christmas and just like have it be a long retrospective about how we've changed since like the last review of Humans
Oh my god.
Honestly, it's not a worst
On-
idea.
on like Christmas Eve or something, or like Halloween maybe?
Ooh.
I'd
Is
rather do
Humans a
other things
spooky
for
album?
Halloween.
I
What?
don't know
No.
anything about it.
I mean,
Other
like,
than that
it's
thing Jade
kind
said.
of scary. Like, re-listening to that, man, it's a daunting task.
Carnival's on it.
It sure is.
So sorry to Saba, who we've just been like, well, you know what exists instead? Gorillaz.
Anyways, we should get to some scores for the Saba album. I'll start because I'm talking and I'll continue talking. Care for Me by Saba. I think it's a good project. There's like I said, his lyricism is very good. I wish he had a bit more personality. I wish the beats were perhaps a bit different and he wasn't so stuck in the Chicago style of rap. Overall, it's still quite a good project. I would definitely recommend it to people. Not like it just didn't really click for me at the end of the day though. I'm at a 7 out of 10 on this project.
Whoa, who wants to go next? Is it me because I'm talking? Okay. Anyway. Care for Me by Saba. I really love this album. I don't know. I disagree a lot with him needing more personality. I think he brings plenty personality to the table. I think he sounds pretty unique from other rappers, I feel. I mean, it's like if we'd gotten more into it, there's like a couple points where I feel like he kind of mimics Kendrick a bit. But I do think that overall, it's a very interesting, well-written album. I think it has a lot of fantastic, like, gloomy production on it. And yeah, I really enjoy it. Gave it an 8 out of 10. Which
I can go. Care for Me by Saba. Hi Saba, nice to meet you. You seem cool. But I wasn't bought by this album. I found it fascinating to listen to because it was so narratively enthralling. But I think, I'm not gonna lie, I think it's kind of telling that I referred to it as like a novel twice because that's what it felt like. It felt like I was listening to an audiobook at points. There was just like so much going on in the lyric and so little I was getting out of like the musical aspect, and that does matter to me a good bit. There were still good tracks on it that I really enjoyed. I enjoyed Prom King. I'm probably gonna put Life on my workout playlist. I enjoyed Smile. But overall, it didn't feel it didn't really like grab me in. It wasn't something that I completely felt like I understood. And I think it was hindered by I just like the style of rap is very hit or miss for me. And this one just felt like a real miss. So I'm sorry, Saba, I'm giving you a 4. Yes.
damn.
Scathing. Damn. All right. I enjoyed a lot of this album, and I think I need to give it a little bit more time and care before I can give like a solid score. So I think for now I'm gonna hit it with a medium rare 7, and call it a day. Because I'm a sucker for narratives, and especially ones that are based on life experiences. They have a lot of power in my eyes. And I did enjoy quite a few of the tracks, but I think I need more time to let it settle.
All right, can I just say that you call 7, like medium rare or 7? Medium rare or rare is how the meat should be cooked. I just want to say that.
Is this going to be an argument every fucking time about my score?
No, I'm just saying your comparison between
I literally have
medium rare
the same score
and a
as
7.
Shut your mouth.
How do you have your burgers? You
Medium rare. Medium rare. I'm not saying that 7 is medium rare. I'm saying this is a medium rare 7.
Okay. It's like
okay, it makes sense now. I'm sorry.
I'm no amateur. I know the rules around here.
Okay.
So it's a 7.
I've shaken Mr. Fantano's hand. That's not true. That's a lie.
Damn.
Don't lie to people. Why would you do that?
No, Wesley, continue to lie to people. Lie to everyone.
I've sucked Mr.
Quoting on that.
I've stolen Mr. Fantano's teeth, every single one, and he doesn't know yet.
No.
And as soon as he figures out, he'll come here because he knows who did it.
Wesley, no, I told you to lie.
I want $45,000, and you'll get back the best teeth in the game.
Damn. Wesley really just stole Anderson Paak's teeth.
He does got some good teeth, though.
He does.
You do.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, welcome back to Teeth Rating, the podcast. How good are your teeth?
32 teeth out of 32.
Damn.
How, Joe, may I pick your brain for a moment?
Well, sure.
How many teeth would you give Care for Me by Saba?
What do you mean by that, Wesley? What do you mean?
It's
teeth
a
out?
simple
I'm not
question,
going to
Joe.
answer any
questions.
Do you mean no? I need clarification. Do I pull out my own teeth and give them to Saba? Do I steal other people's teeth? Do I just give it like teeth as a rating in terms of like an abstract concept?
I was thinking an abstract concept. I'm not asking you to sacrifice teeth to Saba.
Am I sucking Saba's teeth? Is this a question?
Ideally not.
Okay, I don't know.
Saba would have to consent to that.
I don't
know if we can do
keep talking.
No. So in terms of teeth, I'll give it proportionally as an 8 out of 10. Like whatever an 8 out of 10 is in teeth, That's what I give it.
Hang on, Brendan, can you pull up a calculator?
What is an 8 out of 10?
Got
Is
you.
this like? Is it an out of
Yeah,
32?
you're just converting, like, not base 10, but like 10 to 32, and then we need an equivalent
10
number of
to the
teeth.
32.
Are we gonna round up teeth, or are we gonna find like?
It's like 24 to 25 teeth.
Okay.
It's somewhere around there. Okay.
This
Okay.
man can
yeah.
get some teeth. Like, hell yeah.
I can get it. I think that's about as many teeth as I have. No, that's definitely not right.
I hope you have. I don't know how many teeth people are supposed to have. Don't sharks have like 200 teeth? Why don't we just get the teeth from the sharks and then use
Do
that?
you know
for our
dogs have
races?
like almost 100 more bones than humans do?
Wacky.
Dogs have like crazy number of bones.
That's because they're
drink
always
a lot of
collecting
brittle.
more. They're always like, give me your bones. I'm gonna put it in later.
Over the years, they've been evolving to just add bones.
You're not supposed to give your dog certain bones, not because they'll like hurt their little teethy weefies, but because they'll get too strong and just kill you. Anyway, this man's very attractive. Oh.
All right.
Saba's also apparently the name of an island in the Caribbean. That's cool.
Damn.
There
Yeah, but how many teeth does that island get?
How many residents does it have, and what is the wildlife like? Like what?
I don't know, Joe. You have Google.
Bring it
This is a complicated calculation that we are not going to do live for you all. Thank you.
Saba.
Moving
We'll get that
on
number to you after the show.
from Saba.
Population.
Moving on.
Okay, so there's 1,915 people in Saba the island.
Well, this
Okay,
math is
So-
unreasonable.
we can't say how many teeth people have. 32. Is that right?
It's roughly
you
32.
know-
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna average it out. We're gonna drop it down to 38 because people they miss teeth.
Drop it down to
they have-
38.
Well, yeah, because people their teeth go missing. They get teeth replaced. Teeth are shitty.
Down to 38 from 32.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't fucking know why I was thinking that. Down to
You're right.
31.
Okay.
So 31 times 1,915. So we have 59,365. Now we need to know what the animal life is like on this island, and then we can figure out how many teeth are on Saba, the island.
I
Saba
think
with dreads
we
gets
should-
more teeth than Saba with shorter hair.
I think that's fair. I'll stand by that.
Yes. I think we should pause this calculation until one of us can actually go to the island of Saba and count all the teeth individually.
This-
to get
this
an
probably-
Yeah, no, we're not here
Yes.
for estimations.
Yeah.
Damn.
Until then,
All right.
let's talk about Perfect Blue by director Satoshi Kon. See that transition? Wow,
Whoa.
crazy. Perfect
How many
Blue, I
teeth
guess-
do you think Satoshi Kon has? Oh wait, Satoshi Kon's dead, isn't he?
Brendan's gone. Brendan's throwing his headphones.
How many teeth did Mina have in Perfect Blue? Is a question.
Damn.
feel like I'm
Okay.
back
So,
to math,
so-
but-
wait. Okay. Wait. So Satoshi Kon is dead. He's passed away. Does he still have his teeth?
Oh
Technically,
my god.
like
Yeah,
what's
I
the
mean-
status on that?
It depends
I
on
think-
how they did, what they did with the body.
I think the question we're really asking is where is he buried?
No, I mean we're assuming he's. That's only for assuming.
We're
he's
gonna go
buried.
dig up Satoshi Kon's body to see how many
Yeah,
teeth
because
he
they
has.
cremated.
We're just
are
curious.
experimentally
He could have gone
determining.
missing. We could not know.
Damn. All right. Who wants to introduce Perfect Blue?
I will. It's the movie I recommended this movie, which is kind of surprising because psychological thrillers aren't really super my thing in the first place. But I don't know. I like anime, I guess. So we got that.
And Brendan is confirmed a weeb.
Oh.
He's a
Ouch.
fucking Akira poster. Look at him.
I do. Akira's a great movie. Okay, it's a great movie. You should all watch Akira if you have not watched Akira. It is a classic by all means.
For a split
Anyways,
second, I got confused with Alita Battle Angel. I was like, can you go be wrong elsewhere?
Yo. Come on, it's directed by the same guy who did Spy Kids.
Oh.
Can we just say Robert Rodriguez directed both Spy Kids and Sin City? Like what?
What?
Do you not know?
No, that makes sense actually.
I mean, the main character of SimCity
Now
looks
that-
like
now that
the
I
dumb
think-
guys from Spy Kids. So, like,
Now that I've thought about it, like Sin City and Spy Kids really give me the same kind of like surreal, like indescribable feeling. You know, the one you get when you walk into Target and you spend too much time there.
No.
No. Like I don't. Like I just get bored if I do. Like that's.
Target's like not that large. I don't know how you spend that much time.
No, it's like okay. Well, I guess a more reasonable comparison is like a casino where there's like no windows and no clocks, and like you just kind of like lose track
Like the
of yourself.
one in the Percy Jackson movie.
Yeah, sure, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, both Sin City and Spy Kids give me that same feeling in like a really unhealthy way. So it kind of makes sense.
I will give you that Spy Kids felt like I consumed too much sugar and now I was suffering the consequences, and SimCities felt like I consumed too much cocaine and now I was suffering the consequences.
That's
So-
a really good way to put it.
Thank you. Thank you.
I can't. I'm
Isn't
sorry.
sugar
We brought up
just
Spy,
cocaine,
I brought up
right?
Spy Kids, and now I just can't get the thought of Elijah Wood out of my head. Just Elijah Wood. Oh,
Trust me,
he's
brother,
the guy, right?
There.
What?
Oh, Elijah Wood was in Sin City. What?
Wait, really?
I thought he was.
Wait, who was?
Or no, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of Shark Boy and Lava Girl, wasn't I? Or no,
Is
he's in
Elijah
Spy
Wood-
Kids.
Taylor Lautner, not Elijah
No,
Wood.
yeah, no. Okay, never mind.
Oh my
No,
god,
no.
yeah.
I'm thinking Spy Kids
Guys.
3D. That's the one he's in.
Okay.
Game over?
Oh, Spy Kids
Yeah.
3, game over. It's not whether you win or lose. It's how you play the game.
It's just a game.
Ninja's
It's a
tweet from like earlier this year.
Elijah Wood was in Happy Feet.
What?
He's
Oh,
in
wait,
Happy-
no.
Was
He's
he
the happy feet.
Was he the
he
penguin
is-
with bright blue eyes and just uncanniness?
I don't
Does
think
that make
so.
sense? Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Oh wait, no,
right?
wait, was he? What was the main character's name in Happy Feet?
Anyway, Brendan, fuck your movie.
Sorry, I have to figure out what the main character's name in Happy Feet was. Give me a sec.
This should not be that difficult of a Google search.
I should have just been using Letterboxd, but okay, he is the main character. Okay, he's Mumble because he mumbles, I guess.
So he is the one with uncannily blue eyes and just like uncanniness.
Yeah, he's like a baby penguin, but he's grown up.
Oh, yeah.
Well, no,
Wow.
he has the same like feather color coating. He has the same pattern as a baby penguin when he's grown up.
You don't have to explain Happy Feet to me. I've seen it like 5 times. Thank
Yo,
you.
That's a
do we
lot.
want to dive into the anti-religious tones in Happy Feet?
Oh
Kinda.
my god. Yeah, I know.
No.
Sacrilege is like.
Like, actually, that's like a thing throughout the movie.
I don't
What I
know.
really find fascinating about what's happening right now is that Brendan and Jade both fucking love like the movie we're supposed to be talking about today. Like, absolutely adore it. Like
Yes,
when
I
Jade
do
found
love
out
Happy
the
Feet.
Bop Stop episode,
I
no,
also
wait.
love Happy
No, I've
Feet.
been fooled.
There's like this. Okay, this is part of Happy Feet where basically
Oh my god.
they're like praying. Like the penguins are all praying to the Great Spirit or whatever, you know.
Mm.
But then you get a close up on. I think it's the main character, and you see in the same like style. You see like him thinking of like a girl or some shit. I don't remember.
Joe, I'm sorry. Please get the facts right. Like, no, please. Excuse me.
Okay.
It's Mumble's father. They're all worshiping the Great Spirit Penguin to get through the winter as the father is carrying
Oh
the
yes. Okay.
child, and the father instead opts to think of his beautiful Elvis-esque wife, or like, I don't know, Elvis was like a whole thing in the beginning, which was kind of weird. But then, and because of his fucking hubris, he drops the egg and bastardises his child and curses it to a life of no music, just feet.
Okay, yes, but I wanted to highlight that for a specific reason because both his wife and the Great Spirit are presented in the exact same style. They're both like visualized in the Northern Lights, which implies that the Great Spirit is just all in their heads. Like, he doesn't exist. So, yeah.
Yeah, no. I mean, there's like consistent like breaking down of idol worship within that movie.
Yeah.
Like even Lovelace, they're like, oh wow, you must follow Lovelace. He's like our religious sex cult leader. By the way, did anyone catch that? It's a sex cult anyway. and then Lovelace actually becomes a follower of Mumble, who's like the new Jesus. Because his life gets saved by Mumble, and also there's this whole like I don't know. He has like this like religious experience. Also, he talks like a pastor. That's not a coincidence. I love Perfect Blue. It's one of my favorite movies.
Man, Perfect Blue, what a good movie. Anyway, Happy Feet. All right. We should probably talk about not Happy Feet. Perfect Blue now.
I don't know.
Was
I
that
don't know.
8
I don't know if we've
minutes?
gotten all the Happy Feet out of our system, you know?
Yeah, so, like, look, Happy Feet's a pretty good movie. It's directed by George Miller, which is kind of weird to me. Like, the guy who made Mad Max also directed this, like, cute animated movie.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I get the anti-religious tones, though. That makes sense.
Both of them are like apocalyptic wastelands.
Both
You
of them
leave
have penguins, right? There's penguins in Mad Max, right?
No.
Oh, no.
I'm
Just because you don't
dumb.
see them doesn't mean they're out there.
Well, I guess that's true, but, like, I don't know. We never see them. I don't know. It's kind of assumed there's, like, a nuclear war or some shit in Mad Max, so...
I'm sorry, the first Mad Max movie, they tell you what happened? God, Joe.
Wait, do they in the first one?
Oh wow.
I mean, I like the first Mad Max movie.
Yeah.
Yes. The one where he has a family before he does it.
Yeah, I already
they
know,
tell you what
like,
happens.
I guess I didn't catch that part when I watched it, because, like, I remember it was just, like, society had basically, like, government had broken down at that point, but there was still some semblance of law. But it's just kind of... Because I don't remember there ever being a mention of, like, an apocalypse or anything.
I hope I'm not wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. But I think they tell you what happens. Anyway.
Perfect Blue is a 1997 Japanese animated film for director Satoshi Kon. Spoilers. We're getting into lots of spoilers really fast, probably. The general plot is there is a pop idol named Mima Kirigoe, and she wants to stop being a pop idol and become an actress. So she does. And she has a bit of an identity crisis about this. And also, her fan base has an interesting response to her change. I want to talk about this briefly because we're probably going to be talking about the character of Mima quite a bit. And like the psychological aspects of the movie, but I just want to get this in real quick. The way this movie portrays like the film and idol industry in Japan is actually like super interesting, I think, because one, it's not being it doesn't shed either of them in like a positive light, and it also, I think the way it discusses its fan base and sort of the crazed what's the thing, the social relationship that you create with like creators,
Parasocial
relationship that the fans create with Mima, like, and the advent and how the internet helped to fuel that, because the internet, this was made in 1997, so the internet was like just starting, and even Mima doesn't understand the internet, but she's like just able to see these relationships form. Is like, honestly, it's like way ahead of its time. I just want to say that, which I thought was interesting. But most of the movie centers around the character of Mima and the mental break that she's essentially going through. And she is dissociating real hard, not understanding what reality is, and there's just lots of things happening. And there is a stretch of the movie where you don't know what's real and what's not real, and like what's a dream. And I love that like half hour, 45-minute stretch of the movie. It's probably my favorite bit. It's just like so interesting, and there's like so many things happening, and it's cool, and then it all like sort of wraps up at the end, which is interesting. We'll talk about that, I think. But yeah, that's the gist of things.
For sure. And I do want to add with the just like like how it deals with like entertainment as a whole and like specifically the idol industry. But also to some extent, or actually to a pretty big extent, like television and like the acting industry as well. That's something that's like that's something to be like very critical of when portrayed in media, specifically something that is an aspect of the industry. That's like a very like fair like something to be viewed critically of that. And that being said, I think this does such a good job of managing to parse that out without being like without using the medium poorly. I guess what I'm trying to say is I think it's fascinating to see a movie like this in animated form. It's not like psychological is unheard of in animation, but it is like a little bit rarer than like I don't know, like Children and Lighthearted. But it definitely served them well to do this in an animated medium, simply for such a big part of the message they were trying to convey, for that to translate. So I think they did a really good job of like being cognizant of what they had to do in that, right? And not only would it have been like, it would have been very difficult to not treat critically and to take seriously a big part of that message, I feel like, if they hadn't done it as an animated movie. So I think they just understood their medium in relation to their narrative very well in making that decision.
Yeah, I totally get that. I will say, like, in anime, like, anime definitely is far more broad in its subject matters than, like, Western cartoons, I guess. Because most Western cartoons are for kids. I mean, there's some more adult cartoons, obviously. You have, like, Rick and Morty, I guess. Not really for kids, but also not a psychological thriller by any means.
I feel like in the U.S., if something's animated in some movie, it's typically for kids.
That's
like TV shows. It's like a lot of the time you have adult TV shows. Probably like the most famous show, The Simpsons, is like.
Yeah. I was gonna say that's been around for the longest running TV show. Yeah.
Generally for kid or for movies, people think of it as like a kids. For kids medium. Yeah.
That's totally fair. But yeah, I like what you're saying there.
Thank you, Brendan.
Yeah.
I also like what you're saying there.
Whoa, I want to say another thing. So there's this thing in the 90s with like anime films where they're just like really focused on one thing, and they're like kind of short too. You see it with like, I think Ghost in the Shell is probably the best case of this, because Ghost in the Shell is like, it's like an hour long or something, the original one, and it's just like very laser focused on one point. This movie is a bit broader, but I do think it's very focused on the point it's trying to make about like reality. There are other things going on, obviously, but that's not. I think they're just sort of byproducts of how it chooses to portray its foray into what is real. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I have very limited experience actually in like anime film beyond like this, Ghibli, and Angel's Egg. I think that's all I got under my belt. But like, for sure, it's very focused on the subject matter, but I think it didn't, at least in comparison to Angel's Egg, it didn't feel like that was like kind of like suffocating, or that you were stuck in a moment, partially because it was like, it's such a fragmented narrative, and in how it's portrayed. It had enough movement for that to not be like an exhausting aspect of it.
Yeah. Joe, you haven't said much. Would you like to?
Well, don't have much to add to this aspect of the conversation because I also don't know anime films that well.
All right, well then bring up a
I
new
will
aspect.
Wait, I will say, Brendan.
Okay.
Princess Mononoke is really long though.
Well, I'm not saying completely. Hayao Miyazaki is like a whole different story. Okay, he's just doing whatever the fuck he wants.
But yeah, I really enjoyed this film. Yes, I enjoyed this film. I especially like, I guess, how I mean, you mentioned it before, but how it explores that the parasocial relationships and the way, I guess, the industry, like the film industry, like puts this like strain on people, if that makes sense. They like make them do things that they don't really want to do. It's definitely, like, I think handles that incredibly well. And I do also agree, the part where you don't know what is real, like that entire sequence where she's just like constantly waking up, you're like, oh god. I really love that part. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Wow, cool.
Whoa. Okay. I'm gonna say some things. I have some problems with this movie. There are some times where there are like specifically two scenes that come to mind that I just laughed so hard at. The first one was when she's fighting Rumi, I guess. We're getting into spoilers. Big spoiler time. So she's fighting Rumi, and like Rumi loses her wig and she goes crazy because she lost her wig, and she just kind of like falls on a piece of glass.
Yeah. I saw it. Yeah.
Yeah. That part, that's it's just like, that just took me out of it. I was like, that fight was like super cool. I thought, especially with how they were showing Rumi like Mima-ish thing, and how it really only see her in the reflection. But then the piece of glass happened that just brought me out of it immediately. And then also the very final scene of the movie where Mima looks into the rearview mirror of her car and is like, I'm real. That scene, I didn't think that had to be there, and actually I thought it took away from the movie, personally.
It's very weirdly upbeat.
Yeah.
At the end of the movie is like, the rest of the movie is super depressing, and you just have this very, like, this cheerful music almost playing while it happens.
I get that they like want a resolution, I guess, for the plot, but I think it would have been better without that resolution, personally, and still leaving some of it to be a question to be answered. I think it would have been better that way, personally. But yeah, I just want to talk about those two scenes because they just stick out like a sore thumbs, I guess, in this movie.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. Like, the ending is very, like, I think it could have lent itself to more like ambiguity, and that would have fine for it. Like, it actually worked better. I think they could have even like kept a similar moment and made it a bit more ambiguous. But like, it was a very strange resolution to the movie, to the point where I was, I don't know this. I never looked this up. But I was almost like, is there a shit thing going on here? But I have no idea. And in regards to the first one, I think the violence in this movie comes in so many different forms. It's really interesting because it goes from being like really effective and incredible and well timed to being really like bad. Like, specifically, I think I agree that that's maybe one of the worst moments of violence in the film. Just like, because it's like fucking comical how it happens, and there's this element of it like being shown as like kind of her like very pathetic in a very real way, but just like the way they executed it was also just like almost too laughable and too like it for me, it took me out, and I think you were saying the same, but just like And also, I think part of it was the sound effect they used for that moment. If you remember it, it's just like I can't even like recreate it. It's just like that's not the noise of that thing. And also, it does the I don't even know what to call it, but that strange thing of just like there's like a beat and then just blood, like
Yeah.
like the rush of blood, which is like I don't know. I usually just see played for comedy or B grade horror, and there's a couple moments where it's very B grade gore, but then there's a couple of moments where it's not. So it's really interesting how the movie doesn't seem to handle that well. Like it does amazing, and then it does kind of bad, like depending on which scene you're looking at.
Yeah, I really like. We're gonna talk about like the violence of the movie. The progression of this movie, I think, is really interesting. Because you start out and it's like it's a cute little movie about an idol singer, and sure there are like some weird things because you have like Mimania San and like San, I guess, and there's obviously like something weird going on there, right? Because this dude's kind of weird, but like nothing that's like too bad, right? And then it gets real uncomfortable real fast because there's a rape scene, which isn't a real rape scene. It's a rape scene for a TV show, which is like it's still like kind of okay. And then somebody just gets murdered, absolutely fucking destroyed in an elevator, and there's just blood everywhere. And it's just like I think the way that the movie does that is really interesting because eventually you then later move on and get to actually see you see a person get murdered, and then an attempted rape, maybe ish, if that was real. We don't actually know, I guess. So yeah, violence in this movie is I think the way it progresses is actually like well done, I'll say, and it keeps you sort of on edge and like uncomfortable throughout.
Yeah. If you're cool talking about the rape scene, I think it's so that's my example of them actually doing a really, really great job, which is like very hard to say in the context, but it's so I first of all it's one of it actually is kind of the moment that signals like the timeline and like her like it signals her becoming a unreliable narrator for the rest of the movie. But so it's like very significant. It like teaches you not to trust the rest of the film in a lot of different ways because you don't see anything that explicit up until that moment, and debatably you don't see anything that graphic ever again. But like there is kind of like different kinds of violence. But I think it was a fucking fascinating catalyst to discuss like a big part of the industry. Because in that moment you simultaneously have something that is you have a moment that is like for TV fake, and then of course you were also watching it, so there's like several layers of it being like unreal.
Yeah, this movie's very meta, which I like.
Yeah. No. Oh god. Like it like messes with me because I'm like scarred by like John Baldred's Simulacra. Just like I hate this, but I do. But what's really fascinating is you have this moment that's like, but it's so brutal. And like everyone is cognizant of it, but you have it interrupted by these moments of the like to remind you that it's not real. And then we are shown the moment of her like consenting to like the filming. So in so many ways it shouldn't be the thing it is, and yet visually it still feels that way for not only us as an audience but for people in the room. But I think what I enjoy most about why I think it's a really valuable scene as far as like the portrayal of violence and specifically sexual violence is it makes a really fascinating point about what that means like outside of that scope and why it should be viewed as violence, because because it technically shouldn't be seen as a moment of violence, because the violence that comes from rape isn't sexual at all. It's violence, and so what is lost there isn't any level of purity or virginity or youth. What you lose in that is autonomy, and that's like the biggest misconception about, and like the biggest problem in like looking at that kind of violence within our world. So what's really interesting is you have this moment where she is autonomous, and like, so it isn't that act of violence, and yet so many people in the room, including Rumi and Mania, I don't. In my head, his name is Fish Eyes. I'm not gonna lie to you, but
we can call him Fish Eyes.
Yeah, Rumi and Fish Eyes refuse to like see this moment as something that gives her like that she has autonomy over, and specifically they opt to see this moment instead of something in which she has lost like purity and virginity, and in that failure to recognize violence for being violence instead of being sex, and in their inability to recognize her as a human instead of an object, that's where the actual danger of the moment comes from. So it's like nothing that actually seems upsetting about the moment is or should be. What's really upsetting is that people fail to see that like reality, and I think that just speaks so well for like what so much of the like movie itself is doing, but also it's just a really good moment, because that would have been a very awful scene to incorporate, except it was incorporated with so much intention in a way I've never seen that happen before. So it's like an amazing scene for like all the violence it portrays. I love that. It's probably one of my favorite. I love it. It does so much for like the movie as a whole, but like it speaks in so many directions just by like showing what it does and how it shows it.
Yeah, you said a lot there, and
I did.
You're right for a lot of it. When you were talking about like, yeah, it's about autonomy and not purity, I was like, but I thought the movie portrays this as her losing her innocence. But you're right, it portrays it as her losing her innocence in the eyes of sort of the antagonists, I guess, which is interesting. It's also, you can argue that's when Rumi actually is broken by that, and we don't really know Rumi's backstory and why she became the way she is, but it certainly seems like that was a turning point. In what, you want to say something?
We get a little bit, and I want to point this out just because it's the first time I caught it in me watching this movie. In some of her opening dialogue, while she's arguing about whether or not what's her name, Mima should go into acting instead of being an idol, it comes out that she was a failed idol. So like we can understand her as a failed idol, and a lot of what she's saying in like Mima's place being influenced by that. Then there's also like this really interesting aspect of like how she's treated like as like a rural person coming to an urban place that I like noticed for the first time. So I think that's a big aspect of like what you can see in Rumi is just like what's the word, like vicariousness gone like very, very upsettingly wrong. But it was the first time I realized that she was Rumi herself was a failed idol. So that painted a lot for me.
No, you can definitely tell throughout the movie that Rumi wants to. I think at first it's trying to portray it. She wants for Mima what she didn't get, but as you go through the movie, you realize she wants it for herself and not actually for Mima. So yeah, it's cool. It's interesting. Yeah.
Sure, it does so. I don't know. I like how they shape kind of the antagonism in this movie, so that you quickly learn to fear Fish Eyes, and like for so many reasons that's like valid and true still. but then how Rumi does become a part of it unexpectedly, but like in a very sensible way that like you didn't see coming. And yet, in the fake narrative going on in the real narrative that's also fake because we're watching a movie, but in the fake narrative, it's warning you of this incoming like twist. So
Yeah, I actually think the movie is really interesting because we see Fish Eyes, and we know that like something's not right, and he's sort of like Mima is always like kind of scared of him, but we never actually see him do anything bad. We can only sort of suspect, and we see him like he's absolutely insane, obviously. And he's crazy about Mima, and he wants to like control this image of what Mima is, and he's being enabled by Rumi, which we learn later. But for the most part, like, he doesn't actually do anything that's like hurting people, I guess. We see the murders, but we don't know who's actually performing the murders. We assume it's Fish Eyes, and later we learn it may be Fish Eyes and or Rumi. So yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
I kind of like how it does that as well, where he is there and we can assume, but we don't know until the very end.
Yeah. Also talk about his like establishing shot where like
Oh, he's
holding
holding her in his hand.
Yes. Oh my god. Like,
I love that scene.
Like I found it really interesting. Like I mean, like in a very physical way, they opted to portray him in a way that makes you suspicious of him, just like in his appearance. But just like God, for that shot, that was like that like told you half the movie so fast. I really enjoyed that. And especially that they kind of like returned to it in so many various ways. But I'm curious to see what you guys think of, let's see, how do I say it? The portrayal of like the phantom pop icon that becomes Rumi, but just like this like strange like outfitted like floating woman who like jumps along the street lights with her hands behind her back. I'm so curious what you guys thought of her.
Joe, do you want
If
to
you
speak?
thought of her.
You've been kind of silent.
I'm sorry. I only watched the movie like a couple hours ago, so I was still like digesting it. I thought it was interesting. I don't know. I hadn't thought about that part of it that much. It was cool. I don't know.
All right, I guess I'll talk. I think the most interesting part about the Phantom, we'll just call her the Phantom, is that I guess she's an illusion, really, because part of the movie is there's this dichotomy. I don't know. It's dichotomy. It goes actually along with living vicariously, because Mima's life is moving along, and the TV show that she's a cast member of is also moving along and having a similar sort of story to it in the TV show. And we're also not even sure if this is actually what the TV show is about, but we can only sort of assume. But in the TV show, they say that illusions can become reality if they have someone to possess. And Mima starts with this illusion where she is a sort of split personality between Mima, the actress, and Mima, the pop idol. And I think really that's just, at the beginning, it's just her internal regret about her decision to stop being a pop idol. And she's like, well, I could have just become a pop idol. The group that she was a part of started doing well once she left. If she had stayed, who knows? Maybe she could have been doing better. Maybe she would have been happy. But she has to learn to live with her own decision, and she is trying to do that. And eventually, that illusion that she has, which is, I think, a manifestation of her regret, finds someone to possess, which is Rumi, who I think also shares in that regret about Mima not staying as a pop idol, because again, for Rumi, that is what she would have wanted, and that she allows that to sort of control her. She allows the regret to take over, and she has a mental break and a split personality disorder, which very I think it's really interesting how the movie sort of transitions from Mima having that phantom be a part of Mima to having it be a part of Rumi. Yeah.
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 No, for sure. It's definitely. I think in like viewing it as like a movie monster, which I feel like is a fair thing to do with it.
Yeah.
I think it embodies like a lot of like what it's trying to, or like what it means and what it's manifesting in its physicality really well. Like I think you can totally like see just like kind of how it's like this, like it is a phantom. It's like very ghostly. It like disappears and reappears. So like there's that element of like possession that they mentioned.
Yeah.
And then also like in it showing up in mirrors, you have it as like simultaneously part of identity, but then removed from it. And I love it as like a creature. It's so uncanny. It's so like upsetting in ways that it shouldn't be, because and the craziest thing about it is like it's literally a figure you've seen before. It's a figure you saw in the opening shot and like thought, or not opening shot, but like in the first scene, and thought was like a cute girl. But it's just like, so its return is this very uncanny, like textbook Freudian definition of uncanny. And then also, I just love its like physicality too. I love that she has her hands behind her back, like she's like playing this like game.
Yeah.
There's this weird innocence about her, and I think it's really interesting how like you get the flip of it having like almost come out of the mirror in the final scene, because you can only see Rumi and like these mirror bits, but you can see her in the world. I think they just like utilized that as like a monstrous figure so well. Yes, good monster.
Yeah. I think you brought up the carefree attitude, which I do want to point out, because I think that is actually probably the most haunting aspect of the Phantom, really, is that I go back to the regret. She regrets her decisions, and because of that, the happiness that she could have had is now part of the thing that is now haunting her, which is very, very interesting. I feel like I had something else. I don't know, but yeah, wacky.
Wacky. So wacky.
Little wacky movie.
Wow.
She's cute. She's so not cute.
Sorry, you brought up the uncanniness. That's what I wanted to touch on. The can I just say, there are times like when Rumi looks straight at the camera, her eyes are just too wide. They're too far apart from like her nose, and like the uncanniness there, it got me like every time. I was just like, no, please get more of a side angle, because I cannot do it.
100%. One of the things I've thought about this on and off, because I don't know enough about just like anime and like just
I
like
think that was definitely
visual
on purpose,
portrayals.
because that doesn't really happen with other characters in the movie.
Okay, yes, except like the guy at the beginning, like the that fish eyes like possibly kills, also has like this like weird like separated look, and just they do a good job of just like portraying ugliness in these characters that like you need to understand have like bad in them, which is like fucking like it's very like Disney villain to me, but like it's also like really fascinating how they do it. But I love how that like you can see that in Rumi, and like I don't know what it is about having like eyes like very far in your head in this film, but even though you can only ever see half his face, so does Fish Eyes. His eye is like here. Wait, I shouldn't be pointing in a podcast, but his eye is just like so far on the side. So I find that really interesting. I was like, I don't know if that's like a thing. I don't know if that's cultural. I don't know if that's just like.
No, I think that was a very deliberate choice on the animator's part, because other characters don't have that. Like, Mima can look head on to the camera and she still looks fine. But there are just certain characters that when they are looking at the camera, they look wrong, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. I feel this actually wasn't necessarily something I liked, but it's not something I dislike necessarily either. The move, the movie as a whole is very cognizant of like the gaze, and like I say that as in like how like what is looking at what and how it's being perceived through that way. So eyes actually come up pretty frequently. Like the murder keeps taking out everyone's eyes, and I don't necessarily like that violence. I felt like it was like very on the nose on the eyes, but like that was something that they consistently like gave you. There's a lot of shots through like either cameras, like through different kinds of cameras and lenses. So I like that kept coming back, and it almost made me wonder if that's why Fish Eyes had his like weird like vacant eyes, or like why Rumi's eyes were so set apart, because there was so much intention with eyes throughout the movie. That was like part of the thesis I couldn't come up with on why they looked that way.
Yeah, I couldn't like tell you why either, but I definitely like the point you're making. I think right down to the cover that the movie has, like the poster art with Mima sort of forlornly gazing, not directly at the poster art, but like sort of off to the side. I think there are like lots of shots in this movie of just like Mima or someone like Mima looking out the window or Mima looking at different things that I think, like you said, definitely the movie is very focused on what is being shown and what is being shown to who is being to what is being shown to the character that we are being shown, I guess.
Also, is there really like ever actually a point where Mima looks into the camera? Because I feel like that happens with the other characters or the antagonistic characters a lot, but barely ever, if ever, with Mima.
She looks into a mirror, but I don't think she actually looks ever directly at the camera.
And this isn't Mima, it's like Rumi, it's the Phantom, but like in like kind of like the iconic image of her spreading blood on her face, she's just like looking right at the camera in that moment, which is interesting. It's all very interesting. Wow, movie is kind of cool. But yeah, no, I found. Yeah, wow. That's it. That's all the brain cells I have for this.
All right, we should be wrapping up soon, anyways, so we can move on. Joe, I'm gonna let you go first.
Am I gonna go first? All right.
Yeah, you can.
There wasn't a time that I had, or well, I didn't find like a specific time to cut in with this. Like my one thing I didn't like is actually the reveal that like Rumi was like not like the killer, but she was somewhat facilitating everything, I guess. I just in the moment it felt kind of cheap to me. Like it was, which I mean, I guess that this is like something that I think maybe over time I will like a lot more, or on a rewatch, because in the moment it felt very cheap, but considering how that somewhat mimics the way that it mimics like the show that happens where there's the killer is Mima the entire time, and how it's like how there's like, or how that kind of mimics like a TV show where there's like a reveal of the villain in general, I do think works well, but just in the moment it felt very sudden somewhat. It was just like, oh, okay. And I guess it kind of deflated some of the tension going on, because when I watched it, I was like, man, there's a lot of stuff to dig into, and then that happens, and I was like, oh, this kind of explains everything, if that makes sense. But I guess thinking back on it, it doesn't necessarily do that. But conclusion, basically, I guess overall, I really enjoyed this movie. I should probably watch it a second time. to really get a lot more out of it. It's definitely a film you should rewatch, but maybe not one you want to rewatch. I really enjoyed it. I think it's a great movie. Give it an 8 out of 10. Very creative. I especially love how specifically with the animation when you're kind of like going through dreams, quote unquote, how it like everything moves incredibly fast, but it still works very well. Like there's a very quick pace to those cuts, in a way that feels very jarring and sudden, and also makes you lose track of time. So you have no idea when anything is necessarily happening. I think that works incredibly well in the movie. Whoa. Brendan, or someone else. Wesley, what do you think of this movie? Give it a score.
Yeah, Wesley.
This is going to be a well done 7.
A well done.
Whoa, thank you,
man.
Wesley.
Coming in with the
What does the whale do, though?
What?
The whale?
You said it's a whale done 7. What does the whale do?
Oh, wow, you feeling comfy with all this teeth still in your skull?
No, I've been pulling them out periodically.
Just
You didn't
give
notice?
Saba.
Yes. Actually, it's to give to the island of Saba specifically, so they have more teeth.
They need more. But
Yes.
moving on from teeth, yeah, I'll give this a well done 7. I enjoyed it, but I wasn't like the biggest fan in the world.
Thank you, Wesley. As a note, Wesley has not watched the movie.
Hey.
Hey, I watched it twice in his stead. Does that count?
Thank you.
No problem. No problem.
I guess I'll go next. For me, I definitely thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I agree with Joe. I think the ending is a bit. I think it could be a bit cheesy at times and a bit. It's a bit too much of a resolution, in my opinion. But I enjoy it. It's entertaining. I think my biggest problem is that thriller isn't really my genre. It's probably one of my favorite thrillers though. 8 out of 10.
Nice. Perfect Blue. Is it an easy movie to watch? No. Is it worth it? If you can watch it, yes. There's so many things about it that are so beautiful. Dare I use beautiful, but its use of color, which we didn't even talk about because it's so much. Its use of color, immaculate. The way its chains are saw, beautiful. Its gore, all right. Sometimes, actually, no, it's pretty good. Its violence, pretty dope most of the time. There's a few moments not necessarily, but as far as it utilizing that upsetting aspect, pretty good. Its uncanniness, fucking immaculate. Oh my god, it does such a great job of creating anxiety and fears that you can't put a name to. And it's thematic content, really fascinating, really well executed, and very much a strong use of the medium. As much as I want to say that, I think they did so well. This movie is, I think, does so many things so well as far as the psychological, but also as far as the genre of horror, and just being part of this creation of fear. It does I love it a lot. I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10 though, because yeah, the ending kind of rough. And there's as many ways as I want to splice it into this side or the other. I just think the ending fell flat on a lot of what it was trying to carry. But nonetheless, I think it did so many things so well, and that it speaks to a lot of volumes on how to make shit. It just beautiful. 9 out of 10.
Cool. Thank you.
All right. Is that it for the podcast?
That's going to be our podcast for this week.
Wow.
Yeah, next week we're not gonna have the regularly scheduled show. I mean, we'll still have the show, but the structure will be a bit different. It's gonna be Joe and I doing kind of a channel retrospective.
Just talking about how far we've come.
How far we've come, because it's very far.
And also, what future plans, I guess.
Yeah, I think we'll maybe like lab out some ideas. We can see. We can discuss. But yeah, because it's gonna be the 20th episode of the podcast, so I figured, call it 20
episodes.
We started this 20 episodes ago. It's been a long time. It's been a long way.
It's been a long time, and by that we mean like a few months.
40
hours.
Actually, 21 weeks, because we skipped a week in there, I think.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's been a long time coming, and you guys have come like a very impressive way.
Yes, I have.
Brendan, you stagnated a little, apparently. All of this improvements in quality and production? No. It's all Joe.
It's all Joe.
Clearly.
He's all the legwork behind this channel.
Definitely.
All right. You want to sign us off, Joe?
Oh, hey, thanks for... I don't know. Fucking thanks for watching the podcast. How the fuck are you still watching
I guess, like,
podcast?
any closing remarks from our guests? Anything you guys want to say before we end it?
Thank you so much for having us on. If you guys ever have an episode on humans, I will listen to Gorillas for the first time, I promise. And if you do anything related to teeth, call me back. Thank you so much for having me. Pleasure as always.
Guys, Big Wesley watched Teeth, the 2005 film. Wait, that would be so bad. That would suck. Sorry.
I need you to watch it with me. You're coming on that episode with me.
I've already seen it.
Yeah, and you're gonna see it again.
Oh, it's gonna suck more for you. It's gonna suck so much more for you.
I'm not going down alone.
Damn.
I'm not going down at all, honey. I can watch some dicks get bitten off. Anyway.
Sounds like my kind of movie.
Sounds like my kind of night. Do you do plugs? Is that
Sure.
okay?
Just go for it.
Cool. Find me on Instagram at jadegreen_Edwards. Don't find me anywhere else. That's kind of the only place I want you to find me. And if you really want to find me on Twitter, don't. But if you do, it's JG Alexandra. And then if you want to just listen to a different podcast, which sounds loaded, but I did make one time. It's called We Never Left. You can find it on Spotify under Lindsay Jackman. Lindsay Jackman, kind of an icon. Thanks. Also, watch Teeth if you have them. Watch Perfect Blue for it.
I looked up
and listen to Humans.
I looked up Teeth and I was like, oh, that movie.
Oh yeah, that
That one.
It was on Netflix. I don't know if it still is, but she was around.
Ooh.
And that'll be our show.